In the Fatal Frame games, a ritual designed to keep hell or the darkness at bay failing is pretty much always the cause of all the protagonist's woes and why there are so many ghosts lurking around. It happens time after time, but it all started with the Strangling Ritual in Fatal Frame 1. This week, we're going to take a look at the specifics of the ritual and why, exactly, it failed, leading to the calamity and the events of the first game. First, a brief recap of what the Strangling Ritual even is. This is a particular ritual held at the Himuro Mansion, exact location unknown but assumed to be in the Tohoku, or northeast region of Japan. It is, or was, held every 10 years on December 13th, always this date, and it had been performed at that same location since ancient times. Why? To keep the demon mouth located beneath the Himuro Mansion sealed, of course. No details are given as to how the ritual came into being, but the details are fairly simple. It all starts with a game of demon tag in the demon mouth. Here, all the girls older than 7 years, 9 months and 25 days take part in a game of tag. They would be chased by a blinded shrine maiden, who was the girl caught first in the previous demon tag game 10 years prior. Yes, getting caught first would eventually result in having your eyes gouged out, so you could then run around and chase the next girl to take your place. Gruesome. But that's not the end of the game. The final girl caught then becomes the next rope shrine maiden, and she is the more important figure here when it comes to the Strangling Ritual. Once the rope maiden has been decided, she is removed from her family and placed in a cell, called a dungeon in the game, where she spends the next 10 years in solitude. This is to prepare her for the ritual and remove all worldly ties and bonds. Even the priests who visit her are masked, so that she does not become attached to them. The key point of the Rope Maiden's preparations is that she needs to be ready and willing to die when the time comes. If she is unwilling to give her life to seal the demon mouth, then the ritual will fail. The priests have 10 years to get her into this state. If all goes according to plan, when December 13 rolls around, 10 years later, the Rope Maiden is led out of her cell and taken to the Moon Well, located in the shrine in the Cherry Atrium. Here, the maiden purifies herself with moonlight, and then enters the basement through a door at the bottom of the well, exclusively for her use. There are rumours that the very first Rope Maiden was buried in the Moon Shrine, and considering you can find a mummy in there behind some sacred rope, they're probably more than just rumours. Eventually the Rope Maiden crosses paths with the rest of the ritual participants, including the Himuro family head, who then leads her further down into the ceremony chamber. Here, the maiden is placed on a large pedestal and the ritual begins. Her right arm, right leg, left leg, and then neck are all tied in turn, and these ropes are attached to wheels that the priests and the Himuro family head then turn. The family head, being the most important member of the family, is the one responsible for her head, while the priests take the limbs. These tightened ropes, as you may suspect, eventually tear the maiden limb from limb. This is technically the end of the Strangling Ritual, but not the end of the string of rituals that are required to close the demon mouth. After the maiden has been torn apart, the ropes that were used to do so, now coated in her blood, are picked up by the priests, blessed, and then bound across the Hell Gate to keep it closed. It's believed that the powerful Rope Maiden's blood will hold it at bay for another 10 years, at which point, the whole process starts again. So, with that out of the way, how did the Strangling Ritual fail and let the calamity happen? For this, we need to go all the way back to November 26, 1827. This is the year that Himuro Kirie was the last captured in the demon tag ritual, thus making her the next shrine maiden. Little is known about what happened over much of the next 10 years, but shortly before her strangling ritual was to take place, a handsome stranger found his way to the Himuro mansion, and Kirie caught sight of him from her cell. This unnamed man was a guest at her family's house, and they happened to meet by chance on one of Kirie's few outings from her cell. The two walked through the cherry atrium and chatted like old friends, and Kirie was besotted with him. Of course, Kirie was nearing the Strangling Ritual and thus not allowed to have any attachments to this world. She had to be willing to die for the ritual to work, but the more time she spent with this handsome guest, the more she fell in love with him. For his part, the handsome guest also fell in love with Kirie, and often helped her sneak out of her cell so they could spend time together. The priest asked him to stop visiting her, even getting aggressive with him when he refused to listen. In the end, the Himuro family head decided enough was enough and ordered the priests to kill the man, which they begrudgingly did. They tossed his body into the abyss near the demon mouth and told Kirie that the man had gone home. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Kirie naturally suspected that this wasn't the case, and a strange dream in which the handsome guest looked at her with sad eyes seemed to confirm that something untoward had happened to the man. Kirie realized the priest did something to him, and something inside her snapped. She wanted to spend the rest of her life with him, and although the ritual was approaching and she knew her obligations, she also realized that she probably couldn't carry out her duties anymore. The night before the ritual was to take place, Kirie had a dream. She dreamt of a samurai who commanded her to break the holy mirror and fulfill his desire. This man was Kyuki Tokitada, and he is the real key behind the ritual's failure. It turns out that Kyuki was also involved in the Strangling Ritual, but the one that took place 40 years earlier. He was present at the ritual in 1797, and when he saw the Rope Maiden, fell in love at first sight. As recounted by one of the priest's files in-game, Kyuki attempted to stop the ritual so they could flee, but he was stopped and the ritual successfully carried out. Kyuki was then ordered to kill himself, which he did, but his vengeance was strong, and he remained in the abyss as a ghost, his desire to free the maiden keeping him tied to this world. Kyuki believed that breaking the seal keeping the Hellgate closed would free the Rope Maiden's spirit and allow them to finally be together, and each time the Strangling Ritual came around, he tried again and again to get the current Rope Maiden to break the Holy Mirror, and thus cause the ritual to fail. Kyuki got lucky with Kirie because, like him, she had lost a love as well, and she realized that she would no longer be able to carry out the ritual faithfully. She was purified in the moon well, led to the ceremony chamber, and the Strangling Ritual carried out. Her blood-soaked ropes were taken to the Hellgate and bound to it, but the ritual failed. Kirie was not free of worldly bonds and didn't want to die. The Hellgate burst open and shattered the holy mirror kept in front of it, granting Kyuki's wish. The malice behind the gate was freed, and it swarmed the mansion, killing any and all still left alive. It even possessed Kirie's spirit and corrupted her, or at least a part of her, and this is the part you fight as the game's final boss. Sadly, or perhaps ironically, Kyuki was never reunited with the Rope Maiden he desired to see so much. He continued to haunt the abyss, angry and alone. The destruction caused by the Hellgate's opening obliterated the Himuro mansion and everyone inside it, keeping them tied to the mansion even after death. But the presence of other holy mirrors surrounding the mansion kept the malice from spilling any further into the countryside. An earthquake in 1986 then shattered those remaining mirrors, and brings us to the start of Fatal Frame 1, and Miku's attempts to stop an even worse calamity from happening. And that is how the Strangling Ritual from Fatal Frame 1 failed, and led to the events of the game. In the end, it was a story of lost love, not once, but twice, and a reminder of the disasters that might befall us if 1. you don't stick to your duty, and 2, you try to get in the way of love. 2 opposing ideals that often can't exist together, and thus we have the tragedy that occurred. But what do you guys think? Are there any other lore videos that you'd like to see? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.